Here's an uncomfortable question. Are you the leader your team goes around to get things done? If you're great at relationships but terrible at execution, this brief is for you. 20 minutes, hard truths, actionable insights next. Welcome to Crossroads and Catalyst, the podcast with Shanita B. I am your host. This is where we discuss how a thoughtful, wise, and strategic perspective at a crossroads can be the catalyst for change. Today, we're talking about something I've witnessed too many times: leaders who are physically present but operationally absent, and the corrosive impact on their teams and careers. So here's the crossroads. You're the friendly boss that everyone likes. You chat in the hallways, you even remember the birthdays and send the cards, and you even sign them personally, and you create a positive atmosphere. But when your team brings you problems that need solving, requests that need approving, or decisions that need making, you freeze. You're relationally present but operationally absent. And this is something that definitely hits close to home because I've worked for bosses who are like this. And it is definitely a sad state of affairs because you just almost cringe when you have a problem that you know you need their input or their decision making authority, and you have to present something to them, and they play as if they're going to do something or make a decision, but once you leave their presence, that is the end of it. They won't even mention it again. And so you're still stuck trying to figure out, well, what is the best course of action? And you eventually have to make the decision by yourself. So if this is you, you certainly want to stick around because you do not want to be known as that leader. Okay, because who is this affecting? Leaders who are great at relationship building, but they struggle with execution, with the execution side of leadership. And I'm talking about the decision making, problem solving, and strategic thinking that your teams actually need. So what are the stakes? Okay, well let me break this down for you. Your team likes you. They might actually love you, but they're losing confidence in your ability to lead them professionally. And I would go so far as to say as if you've been in leadership for any length of time and you've worked with a number of people for long enough, you've already lost their confidence. You're not losing it, it's already gone. They have figured out ways to either resign themselves that nothing is going to happen, or they make decisions and they just ask for forgiveness later. So just remember that other people are watching you. So, not just your team members, but if you have a boss who is overseeing you, they're watching too. Okay. So, what is the root issue here? Well, the root issue is this is not about being a bad person or lacking care for your team. This is about leaders who excel at the relationship side but fail at the operational side of leadership. You have confused being liked with being effective. You think that because someone smiles at you when they respond and that you get along well, that and that you once you break bread or have lunch or breakfast together, that everything is all good. And let me tell you, there are some things that are boiling beneath the surface that you are not even aware of because you refuse to go beyond the relational side of leadership. And that is what you're known for. So the key points here is your team comes to you with clear problems, but they leave without clear solutions. Okay, so here's another data point. Decisions get delayed or avoided because you're hoping someone else will make them. It just completely stresses you out that there's this issue and you're not really sure because maybe it involves you talking to someone about something that is uncomfortable. You don't want to own the fact that, oh, well, this person might actually have some problems that need to be addressed. And you have not yet done, you just don't want to do it. So you might want to listen to last week's episode and take a look at that, number 29. I'll leave a link in the show notes. And then here's another key data point. Your team starts going around you to get things done because they know you will not act. You don't want to be that person. It is difficult to work under this type of leadership. I have been there. It is one of the most awkward places in which to find yourself, especially if you have a personality that is, actionable and dynamic and you like to get things done, and you're working for someone who, they're okay if things don't get done. Or they will just leave all of the decision making to someone else. Well, you know what? If I'm making all the decisions, I want to get the money for it. I want to be compensated for my executive level decision making. So if you are that person, it's time to wake up and do some things, because here are some critical questions for your decision tree. Are you leading your team or just managing relationships? It's as plain as that, because you are not just there to simply make sure that everyone is okay. That's basically just office politicking. You're just being a politician at that point. What happens to team performance when problems don't get solved? And then who do they look to? Because ultimately you are held responsible. And then how long can you rely on being likable instead of being effective? Because I can tell you they are not synonymous with one another. And let me tell you how this plays out. I once worked at an organization where two of the most influential people in that company, they resigned. And why did they resign? Because the top decision maker refused to take the appropriate action on a problem that had been presented multiple times. So when you avoid the decision making aspect, the operational decision making rather, of your position, then you leave people no choice but to make hard decisions themselves. And sometimes that means that they're going to exit the organization. Okay. So then you have three choices here, or at least I'm going to give you three choices. And I think only one of them preserves your integrity. So, choice A, you can continue being the quote unquote nice leader. And the pros, the team likes you personally, but they avoid difficult conversations because they know it's not going to go anywhere. It's the road that leads to nowhere. So, what are the cons of choice A? Well, the problems compound, the team performance suffers, and you become a bottleneck. And you know what it feels like to sit in traffic, and when you start to squeeze into those lanes because something up ahead is causing an issue, well, that's you. You're the one who's the issue. You're the one who is stopping the flow of traffic. Things cannot get done. It's not a good place in which to find yourself, by the way. So the reality of this is nice leaders who can't execute don't advance. And even in the small percentage of the time that you do advance, oh, believe me, it's going to catch up with you. So you're either going to have to dig your way out, or you're going to have to blame other people for the decisions that they make for which you should be accountable. And then you'll find yourself dumping on other people. And I know that because you're listening to this podcast, this does not describe you. So now is the time to act. So, choice B, you blame your team for not being clear enough. Basically, you're saying that it's their fault that they're not communicating effectively with you. So, the pros of this, oh, it protects your ego and it shifts responsibility for your indecision. Well, again, this requires you to take a look in the mirror. You have to have some character because, again, being a leader requires that you have character. And people with character do not do this sort of thing. So, what are the cons? It further damages operational credibility because your team loses respect for your judgment. They already recognize that you are not the person, but because you're the leader, they will respect the title. Most people, even if they do not like the operational decision making of the leader, they will at least respect the position because, quite frankly, they need their jobs. And sometimes this is just how it is. It is what it is. So then what is the reality? Your team is telling you what they need. You're just not hearing it. You choose not to hear it, which is that's a major problem because if they have presented things to you and you have chosen intentionally not to take action or not to provide whatever support or response might be needed or necessary in that particular situation, oh, well, you can forget it because they're no longer interested in what it is that you have to say. You will have to work to redeem yourself. And yes, yes, I said it. You will have to redeem yourself. So, choice C, develop your operational leadership skills. That is an option. So, the pros of this is it combines your relationship strength with execution capability and it builds complete leadership profile. Cons, it requires learning new skills and making decisions you've been avoiding. Okay, so then the reality is this is the only path to sustainable leadership effectiveness. It's very clear that you have to go for option C, which is to develop that operational leadership skills. And so let me give you, I once heard I had a leader basically tell me that they were so busy that they didn't even have time to meet with their team. And they always made the comment when we would talk about things related to the operations of the organization. Now, mind you, I'm a finance person, so I deal with the numbers. I'm looking at ratios and I'm looking for ways to try to enhance the financial performance. But of course, that's impacted by the operational performance. And in conversations with this particular leader proceeds to tell me that they do not have time to meet with their team. But one of the constant phrases that they would utter in conversations was, well, they should be doing this. Well, which begs the question, well, how do you know what they should be doing if you never talk to them? If you never address any of the concerns that they bring to you, how can you say with a straight face what they should be doing when you never check? Or when they bring something to you and they presented a problem and they're saying, well, maybe this is what should be happening, but we can't do it because of A, B, or C. It is your problem at that point, right? So now you have to figure out what are you going to do. So here are some immediate actions that you can take within the next 48 hours. Number one, list the last 5 requests or problems your team brought to you. And what did you do to actually assist them with those problems? And if you can't remember, well, that is probably an issue in and of itself, but it might not hurt to just sit down and have a conversation with your direct reports and ask them, okay, you know what? I'm doing some reviews and I'd like to get back. I know that you brought some problems or some concerns. You raised some concerns, and I'd like to readdress those. And so, can you tell me what those are? Okay, so then number two, identify one decision you've been avoiding and set a deadline to make it. And I don't mean set a deadline 2 weeks from now. I want you to go to your calendar and mark a date for yourself within the next several days and say that you will make a decision by this time. Now, if you have to do some information gathering, okay, go for it. But that should not preclude you from setting a date to respond with a decision. Okay, so then we have a 30-day implementation. Okay, so 30 days. Here's a skill development path. Week one, practice active problem solving. When the team brings issues, work through the solutions together because sometimes you just need that extra voice. Maybe they're coming to you because they already have an idea, but they're hesitant to share them with you because you won't take action. So maybe if you just schedule some time and you work through the problem together, you can come up with solutions together and then ultimately you make the decision on whatever ideas are presented. It really is that simple. And I can tell you it will heighten your relationship building because now you have included them in the decision making process, even though you're the one who makes the final decision. Okay. Week two, set decision making timelines. So give yourself and your team clear deadlines. Everyone will work much more effectively if they know the due dates of whatever decision needs to be made, whatever the project is, whatever. Just set it up, okay? Week three, follow up on solutions and decisions to ensure that implementation actually happens. It does you no good to make decisions on things if you never follow up to find out, well, did we get the returns that we were expecting? Did we get the results that we were looking to receive? Okay, week number four, ask your team directly, what do you need from me to be more effective? I can tell you anytime that a boss has ever asked me that question, it has always been extremely helpful to me because what it showed me is that they care enough to want my feedback. And then if they were to make adjustments based on my feedback, boy, did I feel empowered. And so that's what you really want to showcase to your team that you actually do care. It goes beyond just, remembering their birthdays and anniversary dates to showing them that they're a valuable contributor to your team and that you want to know what they think and what they have to say and that you listen enough to incorporate some of their feedback into your decision making. Okay? So then here are some ways that you can track some success metrics. Problems get solved faster, decisions get made more consistently. Now only you will be able to measure that, you and your team. And you have to figure out how this fits into your workflow, into your work setting. Here's another one. The team stops working around you and they start working with you. You will recognize a difference because more people will present information or concerns or whatever it is. They will present that information to you so that you will find that you are more involved and that your team is actually looking up to you so that they can collaborate with you. And then here's a third one. You become known for both relationship building and getting things done. And it's not always an easy balance between the two. Because if you're someone who is highly ambitious, maybe you're even highly competent, highly skilled, you don't always get along well with people. It may be a struggle for you. And if you're an introvert, it's not easy. You would rather just work alone and leave everybody else to take care of their business, just trusting that they're getting it done. But if you're the leader, your job is to ensure that they're getting it done, which requires you to go above and beyond. And it is kind of one of those difficult things to navigate, right? So then here's our summary. Here's our executive summary. The bottom line is this: being liked is nice, being effective is necessary. Great leaders do both. So if you want to be known as a great leader, if you want your reputation to precede you, then you need to be known for someone who gets things done. And it is a bonus that people get along with you, that you remember the birthdays and the work anniversary dates, and you ask about the children and all that fun stuff, right? So what's the risk level? The risk level here is high because operationally ineffective leaders hit career ceilings very quickly. And consider this: if you are operationally ineffective, you may also be losing talented and highly skilled employees, which really do help to make you look good. So don't do yourself like that. Do yourself a favor and bring that risk level to a minimum, okay? Because there are other things that are going to require your time that could be potentially risky, and you don't want this to be one of them. So then your decision timeline is this month. Your team's patience with good intentions without results is running out. They're over it. I can already tell you because having been there and lived it and working under bosses who have been like this, it is not a fun place in which to find yourself. And I don't work well like that. And I can tell you that your team members, they don't work well like that either. And if you have any hopes of making it to the executive level, you need to be able to deliver. That's the short end of it, okay? So, what I want you to do is to remember to download your 4C decision tree so that you can work through your specific leadership engagement challenges. And your team deserves a leader who's all in, not just showing up. And if that's not you right now, come on and have the courage to figure out why and what you're going to do about it. Because that's why I'm here to assist you with that. So remember to share the episode. And if you have a story that you would like to showcase, then send it to me at connect at crossroadsandcatalyst.com. And until next time, be thoughtful, be wise, be strategic. And remember, crossroads reveal who you are, catalysts shape who you become. Every choice matters. So make it count. Talk to you next week.